Hello, traders. Welcome to today's morning market call. My name is Ian Joseph. From whichever side of the country, world you're watching me from, welcome. Welcome once again. I am the lead market analyst, HFM East Africa. And a quick disclaimer before we do begin. The information herein is only meant for educational and informative purposes only. None of it should be construed as investment advice. Trading the financial markets do carry a degree of risk, but don't worry, I'm here to take you through the markets the right way. Now, it has been an interesting turn of events, looking at where we have come from and how could this affect today's markets and tomorrow's markets. Now, there are a lot of opportunities currently happening in the moment, and this is the best time for you to get involved with the markets. And I would want us to start with looking at the economic calendar. Remember, once again, we do have a few promotions currently ongoing on the HF website, whereby on Friday, we gave away almost $8,000 to you traders as a result of trading with us the right way. Currently, at the moment, we have Battle of the Elite Round 2 ongoing, and you have a chance once again. Remember, we did give away almost $8,000 last week, and that was for round 1 Battle of the Elite. We are currently in round 2. Hello Nash, thank you for being the first one to join. Hello Oscar, hello Tolman, Wendy, pleasure having you here. But if we can go look at the Battle of the Elite, once again, you have a chance to become Kenya's Don Beast, claim the crown. 650,000 Kenyan shillings up for grabs for the first winner. Number 2 is going to take home 260,000 Kenyan shillings. Number 3 is going to walk home with 130,000 Kenyan shillings. We are going to have 10 winners in the lucky draw, walking home with 26,000 Kenyan shillings each. Now, last week we did give away 10 winners in Kenya, 10 winners in Nigeria, and 10 winners in South Africa. A total of 30 lucky winners walking home with $200 each. Now, how do you join? You go over to your HF under the promotions, join Battle of the Elite round number 2. Open a Battle of the Elite trading account and deposit at least $100. Trade any asset and rank in the top 3 traders by percentage wise. Looking at the account currently, the leaderboards, we do have Sami who's up 47.65, and we do have Mohammed with 15.31%, meaning if you deposit $100 today and you make only $16, you will be on the leaderboard. Very interesting to note. Not only that, we do have also the first 5. Once again, round 2 currently ongoing. Remember, once again, this is provided to you by the best broker in Africa currently at the moment, none other than HFM, celebrating 15 years, providing you traders with the right platform, with the right products. Now, this competition is going to end on the 22nd of October. It has 8 days and 13 hours currently at the moment for it to conclude, where it's not only a marathon, it is a sprint, whereby speed is going to be everything. The first one to trade will be the first one to win. How do you join? You go over to HF using the application or the website. Go to the promotions, the first 5, round 2. Trade 150 lot size in Forex, gold, or silver. Be among the first 5 traders to complete the requirements by 22nd of October and stand a chance to win. Remember, all of that happening on the promotions web. When you go to the promotions, you do have many more up in store, and it's about to get bigger and better. Now, going back to the morning market call, whereby once again on Friday, there was this tweet from Trump, and it did shake the markets, whereby this is official ex post. He did mention it has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make. Some not even made by them. This affects all countries without exception, and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It's absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking only for the United States of America and not other nations who were similarly threatened, starting November 1st, 2025, or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China, over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also, on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. We have a question from Limo. Morning, Ian. Good morning to you too. Here's a question. Is the market taking the tackle trade against Trump threats? We're going to look at that. It's a very interesting development currently at the moment. Now, this was released on Friday, and this was very powerful statement coming from the United States. And we want to look at these tariffs. How are they going to affect the markets? How will it provide you, the traders, with opportunity? Now, we want to look at the 100% tariff on Chinese goods, and we want to look at a few articles here. We want to go deeper into what this means. Now, the president said the move was prompted once again by China taking extraordinarily aggressive positions on trade by announcing export controls that will take effect next month. Now, we want to look at what exactly is happening with these goods. Now, once again, Trump did accuse China of becoming very hostile, pointing to curbs he took this week on exports of rare earth materials. Okay, so that's the first thing they're going to impact, rare earth materials from China into United States of America. As part of the trade dispute, China also slapped new port fees on US ships and launched an antitrust investigation into US-based Qualcomm. Beijing has also halted the purchases of soybeans currently at the moment. Now, US stocks did slide aggressively on Friday after the threat in tariff increase. Now, nearly 145% in some cases are on hold until November 10. But while the two countries made progress on larger trade deals, China tariffs on goods ballooned to 125%. Now, there are two things here that are really being fought, or China and the United States are really trying to get their hands on. Now, when you look at China, China do have a lot of rare earth materials, while on the other hand, the United States of America have a lot of technology. Now, some of this technology, and the one that we want to take a keen interest in, is called the electronic design automation, or known as the EDA, which about new export controls on EDA software to China and Chinese military end users globally, said Siemens EDA spokesperson. Now, Siemens has supported customers in China for more than 150 years and will continue to work with our customers globally to mitigate the impact of these new restrictions while operating in compliance with applicable national export control regimes. Now, the company continues to support their employees and customers around the world who are using our technology to transform every day. Now, when you look at this technology, the electronic design automation, it's the next big thing. And the United States are worried that China could actually use this technology for military purposes. And that's where we are having a very big dispute between the United States and China. Once again, the EDA could be used for military purposes. Now, the technology transfers, looking at this article from Chambers, now the background synopsis announced back in May that it's suspending its financial guidance to new US export restriction on EDA software sales to China. The company confirmed receiving a letter from the Bureau of Industry and Security, from the BIS, who are in charge of national security, informing it of the new restrictions. The company did state that it is currently assessing the potential impact of the BIS letter on its business, operating results, and financial systems. Now, once again, how the United States doesn't want China to access this technology, because they do fear it's going to be used for the wrong purpose, and for the wrong purpose, it is essentially for military purposes. Now, on the other hand, China have a lot of rare earth metals that the United States needs. Looking at some of the metals, they're used in, we are going to look at it in just a moment's time. Now, when asked about the rare earth metals control during a regular press conference on Thursday, China's Ministry of Commerce spokesperson did say that it did not have any information to provide. Now, on Wednesday, this was a while back, China removed 28 American companies from its export control list for dual-use items for 90 days, as it also took 17 companies off its unreliable entity, including 11 for 90 days. Now, the vast majority of the rare earth elements, or REEs, imported into the United States comes from where? China. They are viewed by Beijing as being an effective leverage point in trade negotiations with Washington. Now, why China's rare earth exports are a key issue in trade with the United States? Because most of these metals are used in construction, especially with the automobile and the auto industry and the sector in general. Now, China has long dominated the mining and processing of rare earth minerals, as well as production of related components like rare earth magnets. Now, it mines about 70% of the world's, of the world's rare earths and processes approximately 90% of supply. China also maintains nearly total control over supply of heavy rare earths, including dysprosium and terbium. Now, off-topic question here: does HFM allow me to withdraw directly to M-Pesa? It's my first time using HFM and I can't find the option. Yeah, if you go to withdraw and then click all alternatives, you're going to have the M-Pesa option for you available. Now, once again, looking at where we are with the tariffs, the United States has technology that China doesn't want, that the United States doesn't want China to access. Now, on the other hand, China has a lot of rare earth minerals that they do believe they are going to use it as leverage in, because the United States are very big in consumption of these rare earth minerals. Now, why is it a blow when looking at these rare earth minerals? Because they are used, let's say, for example, neodymium is used for the make of the powerful magnets used in loudspeakers, computer hard drives, EV motors. And looking at it where we are currently at the moment, the automobile sector is moving aggressively towards EV motors. Now, if these car companies, if these manufacturers are not going to get the rare earth metals, it means that these companies are going to shut down. When you look at Tesla, for example, Tesla rely on these heavy earth metals for them to manufacture their vehicles. Not only vehicles, but they also use it to manufacture television and computer screens because of the way they display colors. Everything you can switch on and off likely runs on rare earth metals. Now, there are also a critical production of medical technology like laser surgery and MRI scans, as well as key defense technology. Now, what does China control currently at the moment? The IEA estimates that China accounts for about 61% of rare earth production and 92% of their processing. So we have United States on one hand controlling technology. We have the Chinese, on the other hand, controlling the rare earth metals. And it's a fight between these two countries whereby who's going to bow down first. Now, looking at China today, they did warn United States of retaliation over Trump's 100% tariffs threat, as Beijing says it will act if US president doesn't stand down, while investors bred for trade war at the moment. Now, Beijing has told the US it will retaliate if the president, Mr. Donald J. Trump, fails to back down on his threat to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese imports, as investors brace for another bout of trade war turmoil. Now, China's Commerce Ministry blamed Washington for raising trade tensions between the two countries after Trump announced on Friday that he would impose the additional tariffs on China's exports to the US, along with new controls on critical software, which we have looked at in just a few minutes ago. Now, willful threats on high tariffs are not the right way to get along with China, a spokesperson for the Commerce Ministry said on Sunday. According to the state news agency Xinhua, China's position on the trade war is consistent. We do not want it, but we are not afraid of it. After the news was released, the markets digested this data very negative, especially with the crypto industry. Currently, at the moment, Bitcoin is trading at $115,000 a coin, from the highs that it did have almost 150,000 just recently. This is looking at the chart of Bitcoin currently at the moment, whereby we did see highs of around $124,000 a coin back in October of 2025, but currently at the moment we have seen massive retracements. If you can go see more than advanced charts, looking at what happened last week, Bitcoin came from 126,000 back down to almost 103,000 in less than 4 days, 4 hours, losing almost 18.2% of its total value. That was quite significant on the crypto asset. Not only Bitcoin, most of the cryptos currently are down, with Ethereum down 7.3%, XRP down 11.8%, Solana down 13.29%. Most of the crypto currently at the moment did digest this data negatively. Not only crypto, but if we look at the stock market, starting off with the Nasdaq, Nvidia is down 4.89%, Apple is down 3.45%, and this is just on the daily perspective. Most of the stocks currently at the moment in the United States are down. Looking at Netflix, also down, Tesla also down. If you go over to the S&P 500, most of the companies are also in the red. Looking at Microsoft, Google, most of the companies that constitute of the S&P 500 are down in the red. I want us to look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average also. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is also, most of the companies are in the red. And we want to look at these opportunities. How could we find opportunities and execute on them? This is why I have started a segment whereby I would want you to engage with me. Which are some of the assets that you would want me to look into currently at the moment? Looking at the economic calendar, we don't have a lot of data today. High impact news releases, except for visitor arrivals, whereby we did see the number pick up to 7.5% in New Zealand. The data was released exactly 45 minutes after midnight local Nairobi time. Looking at it, this is important because currently at the moment, this is whereby the weather is good in the New Zealand region, meaning tourists are going to flock into that country and they're going to bring their local currency, convert it into the New Zealand dollar or the Australian dollar, and this will be more New Zealand and Australian dollars in circulation, meaning we are going to anticipate a strength in the New Zealand dollar as a result of the tourism that is currently happening in the moment. Now, we did have imports data, the year-on-year release coming in for the Chinese yuan. The previous number was 1.3%. We are looking at a very positive reading of 7.4%. Now, the trade balance is positive, slightly lower compared to the previous number, but the trade balance is positive, which is seen as a bullish reading if it does come out higher for the Chinese yuan. Looking at it, there are no major news releases currently for the day, which brings me to the next segment whereby I would want to look at the charts. We are looking at Just Less Boy wants me to look at GEO and UJ. Now, the Prime Minister is supposed to be sworn in on Wednesday. Very interesting to look at it, how it's going to affect the charts market currently at the moment. Now, let me share my screen here. Beautiful. Now, this is a chart, okay, starting off with GBP USD, the great British pound against the United States dollar. Now, last week on Friday, after the news came out, we did see the British pound gaining slightly over the past week against the United States dollar. Well, prices were well below the 50-period moving average. We did have this candlestick that broke the most recent lows that was made during New York closing session, but we had candlesticks that closed well above that range. And when the news was released about the tariffs, we did see GBP USD gain almost 0.72%, which is equivalent to almost 100 pips in less than 3 hours. And ever since, the market has entered into a period of consolidation. But looking at it currently at the moment, it is London open, and we are looking at this candlestick trying to break these lows. If we do get this candlestick close well below these lows, I would want to look at more net selling opportunities, potentially coming back to these regions of inefficiencies here. But on the other hand, if this candlestick breaks to the lower side but closes well above this range, I would want to look at more net opportunities if at all we do break the highs that was formed during Asian session today, potentially coming back to this region of interest that I would want to look at back at 1.34143. So the GBP USD is going to be dependent on this current candlestick that we do have forming currently at the moment. Looking at it, we did have this very interesting hanging man currently, the candlestick printing, whereby it did open, move to the upper side, grabbed Asians high, but closed well below that region. And we are having signs of sellers trying to push these markets to the downside. All is going to be dependent on what is going to happen below the prices of 1.33286. Looking at US dollar against the Chinese yuan, Okay, so we have Limo looking at UK 100 gold and any JPY pairs. Okay, so USD JPY starting with the dollar against the yen. Currently, at the moment, once again, we do have Takaichi is her name, who's going to be sworn into power on the 15th, which is going to be this Wednesday. Very interesting to note what she has to say in terms of where the economy is generally headed to. Now, looking at last week, when the elections were held, we did see the US dollar against the Japanese yen gap to the upper side. Quite interesting, almost 1.15% from Friday's closing price, and prices were well bullish up until we did have the tariffs being enacted by Mr. Donald J. Trump late on Friday, whereby we did see the US dollar lose against the Japanese yen quite significantly from the opening price to the low that was made, almost 1.26%, almost 200 pips to be exact on this price action. But ever since the day has opened, we have been seeing quite some consolidation. Now, whenever markets do such a thing, I would want to look at how prices is going to react to the highs and lows that was made, whereby I would want to see price break out of this range. If we do break above 153.271, I would want to look at more net long opportunities. Now, remember, currently at the moment today is Monday, meaning if I'm looking at the weekly perspective, the weekly candle will either form the high or the low during today's session, and I would want to be very keen as a result of that. But looking at it currently at the moment, we want to see what is going to happen to when Takaichi is sworn into power. What is she going to favor in terms of her directions on Bank of Japan? Will she want Bank of Japan to hold their rates where they are currently at the moment? We did talk about she is a fan favorite of having low interest rates, but Bank of Japan currently at the moment are looking to raise interest rates in the near future. And this is going to be very interesting, noting what she wants as the Bank of Japan to do. Now we have just less boy with the USD holiday all day. How will these affect the US pairs today? Now currently at the moment, we do have Columbus Day, which is a very important holiday for the United States. Now, whenever there's a holiday in the United States of America, usually what happens is all of the banks are going to be closed, which means that during New York session, when you look at majority of the banks being closed, it's going to give speculators more power in the markets, okay? What do we mean by this? If the major institutions are going to be closed down, when you look at institutions, let's say, for example, hedge funds, they're going to have a bigger impact in price action. So there's going to be one of two things during New York session today, whereby we're either going to have irregular high volatility or we are going to have irregular low volatility. Only one way to find out. That was a beautiful question from Jessless Boy currently at the moment. Now, going back to the charts, we were looking at USD JPY. Once again, I would want to look at how price action is going to react. Currently at the moment, prices has gone below the 50-period moving average, and I would want to look at recent developments currently at the moment. There was an inquiry about UK 100. Let me add UK 100 here, which is the FTSE. Now, the UK 100, ever since the year did begin, if you can go to a higher time frame, has been rallying to the upper side quite significantly. And looking at it, this was when back during this period here, when Trump did take over power, and then there were tariffs being enacted around the 4th of July, May, June, July there, when Trump did enact the tariffs during Liberation Day. From the threats that were seen, we did see the FTSE lose almost 14.81% in less than 25 trading days as a result of the uncertainty that the tariffs were going to have in the markets. But afterwards, we did see the markets make an aggressive rally, one of the best rallies that we have ever seen on the markets, from the lows that were created till the highs that were created last week, whereby the FTSE did gain almost 27, let's say roughly 30% of its total value in less than 128 days. So currently looking at it at the moment, we are looking at, okay, there have been tariffs in the past. The markets had reacted to this data negatively, and we had the biggest correction we have ever had. Now you're looking at it, Now, historical data do not represent what will happen in the near future, but prices tends to repeat itself, whereby look at what happened. Ever since the tariffs the threats of the tariffs were enacted to the markets reacted the information negatively. But currently, at the moment, we are seeing the markets retrace. We are trading well above the 50% region. If I can pull a Fibonacci from my low, from the high to this low, currently the markets are trading well above the 61.8 region on the Fibonacci level. If you do get these candlesticks closing well above this region, then I would want to look at more net long opportunities on the UK 100, anticipating that this was okay. The market's digesting this as fear, but these countries will come to the table and look at more trade deals in the near future. This is what we will want to look at UK 100, whereby this current candlestick, if it does close above this region, I would want to look at more net long opportunities. Now, looking at gold, XAU USD, the precious metal, God's money, essentially it is. Now, on Friday, it didn't have a lot of impact after the tariffs were released, but ever since Asian session today, we have seen gold rally quite a bit from the opening price that we did have at 4,000. Gold is currently at 4,075, almost 740 pips in less than 9 hours of trading. Gold is very interesting. Currently, at the moment, we are trading at all-time highs. Gold has never been at 4,075, and the trend is to the upper side. We will want to look at more net long opportunities if prices do provide us with short-term retracements on price action. Currently at the moment, if I can have a Fibonacci to get a much better entry, I would want to look at prices from this low to the high currently at the moment. If we do retrace to the 50% region, I would want to look at more buying opportunities. Looking at it, we did have some interesting structure back during Asian session, whereby if I do get a correction to the 50 to 61.8 region, this will justify for more net long opportunities. But currently at the moment, gold is trading at all-time highs. The ceiling has been broken. We want to look at the next possible region, which could be 4,100. If we are already above 4,075, the next region could be $4,100 an ounce on the precious metal, which, looking at it from the current trading price, it's only 250 pips away. Quite interesting. If prices has moved 750 pips already, 250 pips is very manageable on the precious metal. And then we have looked at the Japanese pairs, but looking at the Nikkei 225, currently prices did fill in the gap that we had last week, very aggressive, looking at the impact of tariffs. And this is the result of politics in the markets, whereby we did see the Nikkei lose almost 7.2% of its total value in less than 21 hours of trading, just because of the threats of Trump that he's going to have on Asian goods and services, while on the other hand, we are seeing China retaliate. That's going to be it for me for the morning market call. I can see we don't have any more pairs that you would want me to look into. A special shout out to Miss Doja. Thank you for joining. Currently, at the moment, that's going to be it for me. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Remember, it is a Monday, meaning the weekly candle has just begun. You would want to be very careful. There's a lot of opportunities currently at the moment, and this is the best time for you to get yourself involved with forex trading. Risk management is going to be very crucial. Ensure that at the end of the day, the most important thing for you as a trader is capital preservation. Ensure that you have an account at the end of the day. That's going to be it for me. Take care of yourselves. I shall see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Limo, thank you. Thank you too.